Hello, my name is John Murph, and I'm going to interview the fabulous bass player, Petros Klapananis. And we're broadcasting live from Bowers and Wilkins at the Sound Lounge at the Moxie Hotel in East Village. And it's a pleasure as part of the 2020 edition of the Winter Jazz Festival. And how you doing, Petros?
I'm very well. I'm gonna play a tune that I love a lot. It's called "Smile" by Charlie Chaplin, and it's a rendition that I made for solo bass and looper.
Okay, very good. Very nice. Thank you so much. Now, remind me of the name of the tune. Remind me of the name of the tune.
This was Smile by Charlie Chaplin, and it's a song that I love playing. I learned it when I was a kid, I guess, and started in like including it in the solo set. I have a solo project that I call Rooftop Stories, and it's basically like a video series that I started for social media, YouTube, and it's music connected to different cities around the world.
Mhm.
So I've recorded a song in Athens, in a rooftop in Athens, another song in Japan, another song in Tel Aviv. So it's like a series of videos. And Smile I have not recorded yet.
Mhm.
At some point I hope I record it at a rooftop in New York.
Okay.
It seems to be a very difficult task because of the rules and the regulations
Mhm.
to have access on a rooftop. But anyways, I'm hoping that I will make it.
Okay, so talk a bit about that whole process of traveling and making these videos and capturing um, the musical essence of a particular place. Like, what is your process like? Are you doing like research in terms of the folklore of that particular place, or are you capturing something just coming outside of you and you're projecting? How is that process?
Well, it's simpler than that, I guess. I'm trying to combine my touring schedule
Mhm.
with this project, basically. And because my life is a lot on the road the last 3 years, I thought that, okay, I should, somehow incorporate it with my creative process. So when there is a song that I feel that it's somehow connected to a city that I'm visiting, and then I managed to find a production team, like a camera engineer, then we kind of hook it up. Yeah, it's kind of an informal process, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about some of your wish lists of places you want to go to. I know we were talking about Mississippi, and I was like, yeah, you probably don't want to go there, but but you could. It's like there's a lot of great music from there. That's,
I bet.
that state, blues and jazz and a whole lot of stuff. But what are some of the places you want to visit?
Yeah, well, I would like to explore more of the states. To be honest, I'm kind of stuck in the New York tri-state area, and then of course West Coast. But I would love to travel more in the states. For example, now we're gonna go to Denver, and I'm very happy about it. We're gonna go to Colorado for the first time and perform there. So yeah, I'm very glad about it. I'd like to explore more of South America. I've been once to Brazil, but I want to go back because I love the music from Brazil. I love the music from Peru. I would like to go to Peru for sure. Asia, I've never been to India, unfortunately, although I'm a fan of Indian music. Australia, I would like to go. I hope it still exists, because it's really sad what is going on in Australia right now. Yeah, many places. I travel a lot, but still there is so much to see on our beautiful planet, I guess.
Okay. It was interesting also, like he has such a beautiful, the song was so beautiful and it was so full, and it was also all coming from the solo place in terms of your manipulation of electronic loops. When did you start doing that with your own artistry as a bass player?
Yeah.
And what was that process like in terms of learning how to manipulate electronics and still make it sound full like a band without it sounding like electronics?
Yeah. Well, the first time I saw somebody doing that was Jaco Pastorius back in the 70s, 80s. I mean, I saw that when I was a teenager in the 90s, and I love Jaco. He was my first big influence on bass. So slowly I started experimenting. My first loop pedal was actually a delay, like a longer
Right.
delay,
Right.
like a 2-second delay thing. And slowly I started getting used to this setup, and it's quite hard, to be honest, especially if you want to be rhythmical. You really have to be precise. So it took me, a while until I could, groove better and be better with the instrument. So it was a quite long process. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So were you working with the pedals and Electronics Friday do your performance. I missed that performance because I was elsewhere at the dance, but
Yeah.
talk about that. That was your debut with the Winter Jazz Fest.
Yeah, it was the first time to be part of this fantastic project, fantastic festival. This year is even bigger and more ambitious, and that's amazing. We played, I performed with my trio that features an Estonian piano player called Christian Randalou and Obed Calver, a great drummer from here. And we presented our last album called Irrationalities at Zarcher Gallery. It's a beautiful place. Never performed there, and I'm very happy that I discovered it through Winter Jazz Festival also. It's on 33rd Blicker Street. Yeah, and we performed music from Irrationalities. I did a little bit of solo. It was very nice, very good.
Okay. Talk a bit about the inspiration behind that title. What did you want the listeners to gather from that title and the music?
From Irrationalities?
Yes.
Well, it was inspired mostly from the political scene in 2016 and the effect of, the election of the current government had in our community, the artistic community. Things kind of seemed very odd and strange, and it makes sense. Didn't make sense. And this situation combined with some personal things that happened to me kind of sparkled the inspiration for this album.
You were mentioning the 2006 election, and that is such a shift for so many people in the artistic community and outside, depending on who you are. And that shift could have been positive, that shift could have been negative. In terms of that 2016 election, when results happened, I'm thinking the U.S. presidential election, what was your response, and how did you, from an artistic standpoint, what did you wanted it to do after the election?
Well, basically try to, with music express something positive and be inclusive and somehow balance this weirdness. And I feel the same, everybody from my circle and from the artistic community in New York especially feels the same. So although this event was, kind of weird, then I feel that the effect that had in our community was positive in the end, because it made us focus more.
Oh, okay. What's the next song you're going to be playing for us?
So the next song is coming from Argentina, actually, and it's called Alfonsina EMR. It's a beautiful song by Ariel Ramirez that became famous in the 70s by Mercedes Sosa.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's such a great song. Um, Before you perform, you mentioned that the song's from Argentina. Talk a bit about your discovery of that song and what drew you to in terms of wanting to put your own imprint on that.
Well, I discovered it through a recording, an ECM recording actually, by a great Swedish piano player, Bobo Stenson. And then, you know, grew on grew on me. So for the past 15 years, it was one of my favorite songs. Also, one of my favorite bassists, Avishai Cohen, plays it also. It's in his repertory. I found out much later, actually. But I can say that it's one of probably my top 5 songs. So it made sense to include it in the solo set.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say you're one of your top 5 songs. What are your top 5 songs in terms of? Now we're doing lists. Like, what are your top 5 songs and what's your go-to, your comfort food for doing solo bass playing?
Yeah.
So.
What are my top 5 songs? You say? Well, I would put "Smile" up there. "Smile" is a beautiful song for sure. I love another song. It's from Greece, actually. It's called Thalasaki. It's also part of our trio's repertory.
Okay.
Thalasaki it's a traditional song from the Greek islands. And thalassa means the sea.
Okay.
And Thalasaki is the diminutive of the sea. It means my little sea, basically. An old song for the fishermen in Greece, actually. Yeah, what else? I love Debussy. I love La Mer, for example, from Debussy. It's not a song; it's like a classical piece, but it's up there as well. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned Greece, and you're from Greece. Let's talk a bit about growing up there and getting the jazz bug. Like, how did you start listening to? Was it jazz or was it classical music? How did that become part of your artistic voice?
So, yeah, I grew up in Zakynthos. It's a small island in the west of Greece, and this island is very much influenced by the Italian culture. It used to be under Venetian, let's say, occupation for many years. So there is a very strong musical tradition that it's more connected to the west than the east, like the rest of Greece. The rest of Greece is more, I would say, Turkish tradition, like Middle Eastern vibe. For some reason, I mean, for the reason I explained, Zakynthos is more musical tradition is very Western. So I grew up in a very musical environment. Slowly, I started singing and getting into, playing the mandolin or the guitar. Started playing the piano, and eventually, when I was a teenager, I started getting into, Weather Report, Jaco Pastorius. The piano teacher I had at the moment was a jazz aficionado, so she started giving me recordings by Chicoria, Weather Report, as I said. So slowly, I transitioned from the classical world to the jazz world.
Now, did you know early on that you wanted to be a professional musician, or was it like a moment of truth in which it's like, I can't do anything else other than do this and make my way to New York?
Yeah, well, I had a very strong urge to play music and spend hours with playing music, but it was not an easy decision, especially because of social and family context. It was an obvious thing, and although my parents encouraged me to play music, they wouldn't see me be a professional musician, and they were kind of more conservative. So I started, when I left from Zakynthos to go to Athens, I was studying at the Polytechnic school, but I could not combine the two things. I could not, actually I felt very guilty that I would not commit to music 100%. At some point I said, okay, music should be, it's already the center of my life, so I may as well pursue a career out of it.
And we were talking earlier, I think, remind me if I'm incorrect, you made your way to New York in 2007. What was that journey like? I know you're playing a lot in Canal Street, correct? Yeah. How did you make your way to New York, and how did you make your way into the scene here?
The first step from Athens was Amsterdam, so I spent 3 years in Amsterdam before coming to New York. So coming from Greece, my English were horrible, so Amsterdam was kind of a in-between stage to get more accustomed to a foreign environment, I guess. And then as a jazz student, New York was always a place that I wanted to experience. And eventually in 2007, I came here. I didn't know anybody. I started studying at Queen's College, and slowly I started meeting musicians that I liked, played sessions, would visit Smalls or Fat Cat and mingle with the musicians. So slowly, I guess I became a part of the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being in New York since then, how has it shaped you as an artist and as a composer? Just soaking up all the multicultural opportunities that you have here.
Well, New York is the place that, how to say, makes you be yourself more than any other place. It's kind of a survival thing, I would dare to say. If you don't follow your voice or your urge, you're not gonna be able to survive or add something to what's there already. So it was a very big kick, and I feel the same story, the similar story you would hear from any musician in town. So it was very important for me. I discovered that I could compose music. I discovered that I could, be a band leader. It was. I'm very grateful for the New York effect.
Very good. I think we have one more song left. Could you tell us what we're going to listen to?
Yeah, this is Footprints by Wayne Shorter.
Okay.
And it was the first rooftop story video that happened on a rooftop in Athens.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say thank you again to the fabulous bass player and composer, Petros
Klampanis.
Klampanis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.